Union Cosatu are taking part in a nationwide protest in various cities. They want a moratorium on job cuts in certain sectors, as well as a speedier resolution on a minimum wage policy. The mass action coincides with the International Day of Decent Work. Cosatu is also demanding an efficient transport system and an end to the e-tolls initiative. In Johannesburg, protesters have marched their way to the Telkom offices and are handing over a memorandum to officials. But we're starting with the march in Cape Town. Obviously, this mass action coinciding with the International Day of Decent Work. So our reporter, Nomawethu Sowandle, is standing by live from Cape Town. Nomawethu, good to talk to you. So prospects looking like this could be one of the biggest marches that yet, with thousands expected to attend. So certainly the march setting the stage to see high-level interaction between government and the Congress. What have you been covering throughout the morning?
And more importantly,
well, a very good afternoon to you, Natasha. Well, I must say that things got off to a slow start down here in Cape Town. Marches started gathering at Cosatu at around 10 o'clock this morning, and they only started moving towards Parliament just before 11 o'clock. Now, when we left Cosatu, I must say, workers must have been averaging around 2,000. Now, this is a far cry from the 10,000 that was anticipated by Cosatu, but I must say there was so much energy and there was so much togetherness amongst the marchers, saying that there's so much more to gain out of today than just the numbers. Now, I spoke to a sort of 29-year-oldish woman saying that she's joined the march today, and she's hoping that there's so much more that can change in her life. She works, but she still lives in a shack in Khayelitsha, and she can hardly provide for her family. And these are the things that are part of the memorandum that will be handed over by Cosatu here in Parliament. Now, talking about national minimum wage. Not so long ago, we were covering a story in series where factory workers were taking home, on average, around 300 Rand a week. Now, these, again, are things that need, that they say they want the attention of government, and these are things that needs to start changing. Not only are they talking about national minimum wage, included in the demands are issues such as transport. Now, we know that a lot of workers actually use public transport to go to work, trains, buses, but there's been so much crime on these trains. Now, just to focus on the Western Cape alone, people are being robbed. They say they're not feeling safe on these trains, but certainly we will be talking more about these issues that are in this memorandum when we talk to the leader, Tony Ehrenreich of Cosatu, here in the Western Cape at around 1 o'clock. But they have arrived here in front of Parliament, and any moment now they will be handing over that memorandum of demands. Back to you in the studio, Natasha.
All right, Nomawethu, thank you very much. That's Nomawethu Sowandle live from Cape Town. She's at Parliament as the march continues there for the World Day of Decent Work. We will, of course, bring you more from both from Cape Town in our later bulletins. Well, we're going to cross now to Johannesburg, where our reporter Diabo Sito has been following the march as it started early this morning. Diabo, good afternoon to you. First of all, Cosatu President Sadumo Dlamini started off by saying they're calling for radical social economic transformation. We know that the idea is to hand over memorandums to targeted employers. What's the idea behind these memorandums?
Natasha, good afternoon. Yes, the march has arrived at Telkom here in Braamfontein. I wonder if you can see behind me where the marchers are gathered. Currently, it is the President, Sadumo Dlamini, who's addressing the workers. What they're intending to do here at Telkom, which is on my left, which will be on your right, the building right towards my left is the Telkom building. They are planning to deliver a memorandum of demands to Telkom, particularly to ask them to try and halt retrenchments at Telkom. We know that in July, Telkom had mentioned that it's planning to retrench around 7,000 employees of Telkom. And what we do know is that most of the employees at Telkom are affiliated to the Communications Workers Union, which in turn is affiliated to Cosatu. So they are here to try and give, or they will give the memorandum of demands to Telkom and ask them to try and find a way in which they cannot retrench 7,000 people. Think about it, 7,000 people, it's a lot. But on the other hand, we must also remember that companies are also having a tough time in trying to keep business alive. What I did do when we got here, Natasha, is that I tried to speak to some of the people at Telkom. There was a lady who said, this is not the head office, as most of our viewers would already know, that this is not the headquarters of Telkom. Telkom headquarters are in Pretoria, but this is a technical center, so the employee relations manager will be accepting the memorandum of demands on their behalf. When we move here, we will be moving to PRASA offices, which is another targeted company. We'll be giving a memorandum of demands of the same thing, basically, to PRASA, and then from there on we move to Eskom, and I believe we'll be moving to the Chamber of Mines as well. So the match is definitely fully underway. The people are behind them. There's a large contingent of police people who are keeping marchers in check. There's very little disruption. Of course, there are road closures, around Braamfontein, but nothing seems to be disturbed. Businesses as usual. Shops are open. No disruptions, no violence whatsoever.
All right, Diabo, let's shift focus to the people that you've spoken to. How convinced are they that this march will really change or influence the position of government and other employers?
You know, Natasha, the unfortunate part when you speak to people in conditions such as this is that normally they don't want to speak too much, especially to the media. They try to limit what they say. But I got the sense that the fact that they are part of those who probably will be retrenched, it's not a good thing. And everyone is hoping that a march as huge as this one will make a difference in the lives or in the decisions that have been taken to retrench people. It is quite an unfortunate situation that, you know, a march of this magnitude has to take place in order for people to keep their jobs. But I suppose, as I said earlier on, companies, on the other hand, also have a responsibility of keeping costs in check. And sometimes if it means that they have to let people go, they will do so. And we already know the kind of problems that we have in South Africa, where we're facing more than 25% of unemployment. We have a widening gap of inequality. The economy is not growing, and all other social ills. You can imagine the kind of emotion that people carry this march with. Most of the people who are behind me, the marchers, are people who are working in some of these companies and are affiliated to Cosatu. So it must mean a huge deal to them.
Diabo, absolutely. Thank you very much. That's our reporter, Diabo Sito, live from Johannesburg with the Cosatu March for World Day of Decent Work. And we will, of course, bring you updates throughout the bulletins in the rest of the day. Well, shifting